Bill, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the August 4th, 2026 Clay County Planning Commission meeting. The meeting is now called to order. At this time, would you please put your cell phones on silent or vibrate? If you need to take a call, would you please step outside into the hall or the narthex behind us? At this time, Commissioner Bray will lead us in the pledge.
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Pete Davis. I'm the chairman of the Clay County Planning Commission. Minutes tonight will be taken by Christine Blanchette, who is from the clerk of the court's office. Thank you, Ms. Blanchette. Other staff present, we have Beth Carson, our planning director, Dodie Steelig, who's one of our planners, our lead planners. I apologize. We have Jamie Hovda from the legal department, and we have Courtney Grimm, who's our county attorney. We have Kelly Hendry from economic development, and we have Kaylee Briesinger from real estate. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. The following commissioners are, on my right, I've got Commissioner Bo Norton, Commissioner Ralph Puckhaber, Commissioner Mary Bridgman, and on my left is Commissioner Michael Bure. Commissioner Joe Anzalon is not with us yet. Hopefully he'll arrive soon, and Commissioner Bill Garrison. And on the far end is Paul Bemet, our school board representative. The Clay County Planning Commission is a citizen advisory board to the Clay County Board of County Commissioners, or the BCC. All the planning commissioners are volunteers, residents of Clay County, appointed by the Board of County Commissioners. We serve two-year terms and must reapply if we wish to continue to serve. The Commission's duties are outlined in Section 163.3174 of the Florida statutes. We hear applications for comprehensive plan amendments, land development code changes, and rezonings. Most of the decisions made by the Planning Commission are recommendations to the BCC. The BCC will have the final say at their meeting on either the second Tuesday, 1 week from today, or the fourth Tuesday, 3 weeks from today. The BCC meeting starts at 4 p.m. Zoning and land use matters start at 5 p.m. And you need to check the Clay County website for your particular item that you're interested. Make sure it's on the agenda. We always welcome the public to the Planning Commission meetings, as citizen participation is the backbone of our republic form of government. Your presence here is important and appreciated. If there is an item on tonight's agenda you wish to speak about or you want to talk about during the open comment period, please fill out one of the comment cards, which can be found in the entry vestibule, and give it to Ms. Blanchette. There's a 3-minute time limit for each comment. Time is kept by the lights on the podium. The red light indicates the time is up. The first item for action for the commission tonight is approval of the minutes of the July 7th meeting of the Planning Commission. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a public comment period. At this time, any member of the public may comment on items not included on tonight's agenda but pertinent to the business of the Planning Commission. I don't have any cards that are marked for that. I do have one from Reverend McClellan, and I know you want to speak on item number 3, so we'll hold that until then. With that being said, I will open the public comment period and ask, does anybody in the audience wish to come and tell us something? Seeing none coming forward, I'll close the public. The process for the scheduled part of the meeting will be each item on the public hearing agenda will be presented by a member of the Planning and Zoning Department. As part of the presentation, staff will indicate whether they recommend approval or other requested land use, zoning, or land development code. Next, the applicant will have an opportunity to speak. Following the applicant's presentation, I'll open the floor for members of the public to offer their views. Your time is for stating your views, not for asking questions of the applicant. Members of the staff or the commissioners. Your comments are to be directed to the Planning Commission. If you wish to speak tonight during the hearing, you will need to take the oath which Ms. Blanchette will administer momentarily. If you aren't sure whether you wish to speak, go ahead and take the oath. After staff, the applicant, and the public have all had their chance to state their views, the floor will be closed for public comments. The applicant will have an opportunity to respond to comments by the public. Then the commissioners will discuss the matter, if necessary, and render a decision. Again, I thank you and commend you for your participation in this process. Before we begin the public hearing, Ms. Blanchette will give those that wish to speak the oath. Those that wish to speak, would you please rise and move to Mr. Miller? Applicants don't have to. We know where you live and we know how to get you.
Do you all solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, first item on the hearing is Comp 260015 and zoning 0015. Ms. Seelig.
Good evening. This application comes from property owner, Mr. Wyatt Grayson. The property is on Air Park Loop West, doesn't have an address. It is in the Springs District, Commissioner Burke, District 5. It's a single parcel. The comprehensive plan application would change the future land use from agriculture to rural residential, and the accompanying zoning application would change the zoning district from agricultural to agricultural/residential. The property was posted with signs, and mailouts went to all the properties within the boundary district, which are shown on the map in that sort of tan color. The property is along the west side of the Haller Air Park and sits at the end of Air Park Loop South. And these are the existing future land use designation on the left and the proposed on the right. You can see that all of the property to the right is already rural residential. And this are the companion rezoning. So the existing zoning is on the left and the proposed zoning is on the right. On July 8th, the Springs CAC voted 4-0 to recommend approval of both of these items. Staff's looked at the criteria for both items and recommends approval of both as well.
Do we have any questions of staff?
I have just one.
Yes.
Ms. Selig, in the map where it has the yellow, is that all agricola that completely surrounds this thing?
Oh, yes, everything to the west is agricola.
Except for this
the
parcel?
beauty. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that blue color is the agricola. Yep. So it is an isolated agricultural zoning district.
Any other questions, staff? The applicant? Is the applicant here? Would you come forward, please? Thank you for coming, and would you please give us your name and your current address?
Wyatt Grayson. I'm directly across from this parcel at 5363 Air Park Loop West.
Okay. It's my understanding this is for your residence?
No, it was originally going to be. Now I'm just zoning it over because it's going to be for sale, meeting all of Haller's requirements.
Okay. Do you have any questions for the applicant? Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I don't have any cards on this item. Is there anybody who wish to speak on item number 1? I'll open the public hearing. I see none. Close the hearing, bring it back to the commission for discussion and recommendation.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to move this staff report
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion?
Oh, yeah, these is 2 votes.
Yeah.
So I move the comp plan portion.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion and second for the comp plan. No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion for the zoning.
Mr. Chair, I will move the companion zoning as well.
Second that.
We have a motion second. Any discussion on the zoning? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming up, sir. Second item on the agenda is comp plan 260019 and zoning 260017.
The applicant in this case is Susan Frazier with SLF Consulting. The property is on the east side of Henley and Verbena Parkway. This is like Asbury Penny Farms District, Commissioner Burke's District 5. It is 1 parcel. And it's actually, the application applies to 0.37 acres that would be changing from IVC to rural fringe, and another 0.37 acres from doing the opposite, going from rural fringe to IVC. The zoning makes the same changes except to the zoning map. Signs were posted and mail-outs were sent to all the property owners within the boundary district, and that is reflected there on the map. And that resulted in quite a few letters, all listed here. The aerial and I think maybe on the map on the right, parcel map, is a little easier to see. The 2 pieces that are changing are red. One's kind of a lightning bolt shape in the middle of the parcel, and the other is all the way at the left, at the west, and right up against Henley. There's a small portion of the property there that would be changing. So these are the future land use maps. You can see the existing on the left and then proposed on the right. And then the same thing with the zoning. It's exactly identical. On July 9th, the Lake Asbury Penny Farms CAC voted 9-0 to recommend approval of both items. And again, staff has looked at the criteria for both and felt they have been met and recommends approval. Questions for me?
I do. Can you go back to the map? Right there.
That one? Yes.
All that stuff in purple crosshatch we looked at recently,
Yes,
correct?
that's all the IVC, Lake
How-
Asbury IVC.
How do these little parcels relate to the bigger thing? Do we just miss them, or they?
I'll let the applicant tell you that, but I don't know it was a miss
Okay, I didn't see
necessarily, but-
Susan, so I wasn't sure.
Oh,
Oh,
right,
someone's
no,
here for it.
yes.
Okay, I'll ask the applicant. I was just
Okay.
curious how we missed those.
I think they're out on.
Any other questions of staff? Okay. The applicant, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Tom Young, and I work with Black Sound Development, who's the property owner. Susan is out of town, so well, hopefully I can do 1/10 of a good a job and be as knowledgeable as she is on these matters. But I can answer, I guess if you like, first I can answer the question. Mr. Buckhaver. Susan, if you could go back, or not Susan, Dodie, if you could put that map back up. So,
You had it.
the
It's on
with-
that
with
one.
With the circle, that one, yeah. So, yeah, when we did not have that in when we were back here when we were here, a few months ago. You see that semicircle shape underneath the road there. When the county originally created that zoning district, it plopped that circle down there, right, that semicircle. And so we looked at that as that, we're doing this, the red outline, which is the piece of property that we own. Let's make sure that that's restated and reconfirmed. And when we were here before, we just wasn't noticed that that little tail was there kind of between our property line or between the circle that was there before and the right-of-way line, the property line. So just a little bit of an oversight on our part. We apologize for that. And then the reason we're doing the swap is wanting to keep the acreages the same. Our approval a couple of months ago was for 52 acres. And so if we were technically adding this .37 here on the west to the IVC, we wanted to, basically take that off, and, so the black part will just become rural fringe, which is what's next to it, right? So just wanted to keep the numbers the same, not have to come back and ask for more
Thank you.
property.
Any questions of the applicant? Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, my pleasure.
Okay, open the public hearing. I don't have any cards on this item either. Does anybody like to speak on this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to commission for a motion.
I'll move staff's report
Yeah, on the comp plan.
on the comp plan. Thank you. That's right. We'll get to it.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the comp plan and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you.
And I'll move the zoning as well, the companion zoning.
Okay, second.
We have a motion on the zoning portion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right. Thank you. Okay, number 3, public hearing, consider comp 260016. This one will require one vote. Ms. Seelig.
Whoops, sorry. Okay. So for this application, Frank Miller is the applicant with Gunster Law. The property is south of Falling Star Lane, which is in Cross Creek Development, and north of Peters Creek. This is Lake Asbury Penny Farms Planning District under Commissioner Burke, District 5. Again, one parcel, and the application would change the future land use in 3 small portions of this parcel. So 2.56 acres would go from MPC, which is Master Plan Community, to Greenway. And then the other 2 areas, 0.66 and 0.04 acres, collectively at 0.70, would go from Greenway to Master Plan Community. There was signage placed and letters, again, mailed out to all the properties, in this case, the ones in green. And there were quite a few parcels in this case. You can see on the aerial probably better on the right, the 3 areas that are changing are yellow. And just to give you reference, the larger piece that's all the way on the left is the portion that's currently under MPC, which is residential future land use, that would be changed to Greenway. And then the other 2 portions in the middle and the one on the far right would be changed from Greenway to Master Plan Community. So on the left, we've got the existing future land use, and on the right is the proposed future land use. And then this is a site plan that was submitted. It's not a final yet, but this was the layout. And this is the left half of that site plan. And you can see here, a bit more detail, the portions. So the blue is the portion that's going from residential to Greenway, and then the red is the part that is Greenway that would go to residential. On July 9th, the Lake Asbury Penny Farms CAC voted 9-0 to recommend approval of this item. And staff has looked at the criteria, found that they have been met, and recommends approval as well.
Any questions of staff? Mr. Miller.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for allowing me to speak on this. Let me start by pointing out that the parcel of which these little pieces are a part is a total of about 60 acres, 62 acres, I believe. It presently has a land use and zoning of master plan community, which would allow 186 single-family units. What they're trying to do is reduce the number of units to 100, increase the size of the lots, And in order to make that fit, we're asking for these minor little changes. And I would point out that we are changing 7/10 of an acre from the greenway to master plan community. Those are the tiny little pieces there. And then we're also changing 2.5 acres from master plan community to greenway. So we're adding 1.8 acres to the greenway. This was approved by the CAC, and it's a minor adjustment to allow a better project. And I'd be happy, I'd be happy to answer any questions. It's not a complicated item, I don't believe.
Question, applicant?
Just one, Frank. I'm looking at the map here. The entrance to these new homes is going to be through the existing
Yes.
subdivision?
Yes.
And
as
see,
a-
there looks like there's a connection road there
Yes,
already.
and this parcel has been added to the CDC or CDD for Cross Creek. So it's going to be basically combined into the whole thing.
How long has that road been there? Into the residential area? Or is this just a planned road?
Well, the road that this parcel will use to access I believe it's just a grassed right-of-way. I don't believe there's pavement on it yet. When this project's developed, they will extend the road into this property. I believe that's the case.
Well, can we bring up the map of the one where this parcel and then the residential area above it?
Sure, yes.
Right there.
That help? Yes. That road, just so you know, is a requirement, cross connection. So when Cross Creek was done, that stub out was required so that when this property developed, there would be a connection.
That road
Right.
has always been there when Cross Creek was developed.
Yes, it's a platted road, part of the plat of
Okay,
Cross
but
Creek.
it's not paved at this time, it's just a grass,
I don't think it's paved,
okay. But it was reserved specifically for that.
correct.
Okay.
If I could, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. Mr. Miller, good evening. It's good to see you. So as I understand this, it's a total net reduction of 5 dwelling units?
No, 86.
It's 86. Okay, this chart looks like we've got 7 reduction and then 2 addition.
Well, those are acres. Are you asking acres?
Well, it's unit, it says dwelling units on this chart. That's why I got a little confused. I was trying to
Yeah,
figure out.
no, we're reducing the greenway by 7/10 of an acre and increasing the greenway by 2.5 acres. The number of units, as I said, under the MPC, we would be entitled to put about 186 units on this parcel. And rather than doing that, they're reducing that number to 100.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I do have one. Frank, it's really not germane to our discussion, but you said the lots would be bigger.
Yes,
How wide are they going to be? Do you know?
60 foot and 70 foot.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Miller. Is the CAC rep here, Chairman? May I borrow you a minute?
Hello.
What's your name and
Helena
location and
Cormier,
what
my address is on file.
and you're the chair of the,
Lake Asbury Penny Farm Citizens Advisory, yes, sir.
okay, and you heard this item?
Yes, sir.
And did you have any representation from the public there outside of the applicant?
Not that I can recall.
But you voted for recommended approval?
Yes, he had explained that there was the .7 of the acre, and they have to give more on the greenway. So it's increased in size, and so it made sense on the land. I cannot remember if I asked about the road in this community because it was one that I had seen through the DRC, but I don't want to mix up the DRC meeting that I had witnessed quite some time ago versus with the CAC.
Okay.
Because that road and the homes was interesting.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Anybody have any questions? All right,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, I have several cards on this item, so I'm going to open the public hearing, and we'll go through them one at a time. We'll start with Jennifer Moulton. Did I say that right? Okay, if you'd give us your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Jennifer Moulton. I am a resident of Cross Creek. I live at 2644 Oak Stream Drive, and that's lot 468. I guess I wasn't aware of all of the master plan development residential that has already taken place. So my opposition today is more for all of it versus just these smaller little parcels. But I guess I'm a little too late. So I guess just as a resident, in my opinion, our houses have already been built up. I don't know if there's a flood zone back there where Peters Creek is, but I know the FEMA flood insurance rate maps do not show elevation. So my concern is where my fence line is and where the 10 feet of green space is, you're gonna build up a home right in the back of where mine is to be on the same level as mine, where my 8-foot fence, I will look straight into their backyard.
Okay.
I don't feel that that's fair. I think that there's a few things D.R. Horton should have disclosed when we were purchasing that they did not. That's not your problem either. But I just feel kind of duped. And I think the majority of us on that plot or strip of Oak Stream feel the same way. The road for the access is not existing. It's listed on a site map as a future access road. We didn't know whether it's residential, whether it's to go back to Cathedral Oaks Parkway, or what it's for, if that makes sense. Thank you for listening.
Mr. Palmer?
How y'all doing? My name's Adam Palmer. I live at 2654 Oak Stream Drive. When I bought the house, it was told that in the very back, it wouldn't be messed with, it wouldn't be touched with. It was a reserve. I moved out here for some peace and quiet, went through a divorce beginning of 2024. So now I'm finding out this is going on. The road infrastructure is not built up as it is to handle everything going on now with all the houses built up around there. I was also informed that when they do this, they build this, they don't pay the CDD fees. They're not paying any fees on that. As we in Cross Creek, we're paying CDD fees. Also, they told us that they would have access to the amenity center. The amenity center is already full as it is. You go up there, it's full, so they build those sites up there, it's gonna be more clouded, it's gonna be more, it's not right, it's not fair. I found out all this going on and maybe about 5 or 6 months ago. I don't think it's right, I don't think it's fair. It's nice when I go out and sit on the back step, I see all the trees and everything right there, and it's taking that piece away from me. And as they build up, that means it's going to change out the water flow, possibly flooding area. So I would hope y'all would take consideration of not letting this go through. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Barbara Gould?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Barbara Gould. I also reside at 2654 Oak Stream Drive. And like the other residents, I've lived in Green Cove all my life, all 55 years of it. I was born and raised here, and I'm proud of it. This right here is ridiculous. There was no road there, not to begin with. Russell Road has been a two-lane, that wasn't me.
That's all right, you're good.
Russell Road has been 2 lanes. That road was never there that church had only been there a few years, and then they started putting that there. Cross Creek, that road is not even there. You go right now, it's fully green. There's no roadway planned. Right now, if you put a road right there, you're gonna run Oak Stream Drive. We pay for that road in Oak Stream Drive. It's not county maintained. We pay for it out of our HOAs and CDDs and everything else we pay in there. We pay for that. Who's gonna pay for all the construction that's going on and messing up the roads when we get in there? There's children that play on that road, not the road, the sidewalks. You got kids playing football and volleyball and baseball in that empty field right now. Everybody says, why don't we do stuff for the kids? They're doing it now. But you got you got construction people, you got developers that want to take that away from people. That's not right. When you've actually got people who want to do good, who want to ride their bikes, who want to have families on that road. I don't think it's fair. We were promised that we would have a wooded lot behind us. Nobody would build behind us. And now they're doing this to us. I remember when Sand Ridge Road, I was one of the first people. Me, the Fitzpatrick, and the Lees were the only ones on that road before the dairies even got there, before Rolling Hills went in there, before anything was in there. So if you want to know if that was a road or not, it wasn't, because I remember it. So I'm asking you, please take this in consideration and do not allow this to go through. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gould. Mr. McClellan.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm kind of with my neighbors here to talk about this. They brought up a lot of good points, but just in sense of the
Sorry,
road that
I'm
there's.
sorry, Mr. McClellan. I need your full name
Oh,
and
yeah.
your address.
Reverend Dr. Marshall McClellan, 2604 Oak Stream Drive.
Thank
you. And on that road that's planned to be put in, there's a culvert right there, a drainage culvert. So all of that will have to be dug up in order for a road to be put there. 'Cause it's literally right where they're projecting the road is a deep culvert that will have to be dug out. So that road's 20 feet wide, and if you project not 180 something, but even 100 homes, two cars per home, that's 200 additional cars snaking through that neighborhood. That is not, it's already not fun, to be honest, but that's not gonna be fun. That's part of my concern. My bigger concern really is the property itself. And maybe I'm, punching after the bell. But that property is the last refuge for some wildlife in that area. You have 998 homes that Cross Creek. Right next to that's the granary, 771 homes. Right next to that is a property that has 326 homes being built with an additional 250, bringing it up to 526 homes, literally right next to each other. The last refuge of nature and habitation is that section right there, which runs right up against Peters Creek. So I'm concerned. I mean, we've got deer, turkey, we've got all of the habitat that you and I love and we move here for. I'm from Gainesville, fourth-generation Floridian. And, I'm retired military, deployed 4 times, been gone for almost 3 years from my family. I told my wife, if we didn't move to Gainesville, we moved here, the one thing I needed was a woods behind my house. Well, that's what I have, but according to this, I won't. So the real issue is the habitat. The other piece that is of concern is the muck layer. As you're gonna pack 100 homes, about 48 of them actually right next to the muck layer on that creek, with all the pesticides, all the weed and feed that everybody's gonna have to put on their lawns, all that's gonna seep into Peters Creek. You're gonna get algae layer problems, you're gonna get all kind of problems, fish are gonna die, and it's gonna become an EPA mess. So just something to think about as we gloriously expand our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McClellan. I don't have any other cards. Does anybody else?
My name is Helena Cormier, and my address is on file. I do live in Rolling Hills, and the attorney for our community is also the attorney firm that represents Cross Creek. And between all the different, I'm very dissatisfied in Rolling Hills, as y'all have heard me say a few different times. There's different conversations that I have heard between the DRC meetings and some of the other meetings that have happened on this land and when it got platted. And one of the things was the developer still had the majority of the board when they annexed in that land. And that annexation is what is the real problem that these residents are talking about that has already been done. And some of them were told that, well, they're going to be driving on your road, so you might as well let them in here, let them be a part of your community. But people don't always understand what's being done. And when the developers have the majority of the board, it's easy for them to push that vote through. And I hate that for some of the residents. When I sat in the DRC meeting, one of the problems with that site, if they would have just done the houses that they would have been zoned for, and if they weren't annexed in, they would have had to have built a road to Russell Road. And so the reduction in homes is also to keep it under a small amount. There's a lot of different reasons and a lot of different things, and we are really late in the game on this part of it. This part is just kind of fine-toothing those parcels that have already been platted and approved and annexed. And this is part of the reason why I try desperately to get people to go to their CDD meetings, to be a voice at those communities, and to pay attention to what the attorney that represents, whether it be the developer, the CDD, the engineers, everybody else, to pay attention, to read the documents, because things like this happen because we don't always do our part. So thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding, and I hope that that community will be paying attention. And they did reassure us when I asked about the annexation and them being in there that they were supposed to have contributed a bunch of money for the CDD and paying into it. So I do hope that the developer did get charged properly. I know in our community, the attorney, in my opinion, they worked better for the developer than they did for us, the residents, and the CDD. So dissatisfied with all of that as a whole. So thank you for listening, and thank you for all that y'all do.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak on this agenda item? I'm sorry, I couldn't.
She wanted to know if she could ask questions.
No. Thank you. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the applicant. Mr. Miller?
Thank you. And let me first reiterate, what is before you is not the developability of a 60-acre parcel. This is simply revising the boundaries of the master plan community and the Greenway. Let me respond, if I could, to a couple of things. In the annexation, this parcel will pay the same CDD fees that the existing community pays. Further, they're going through the bonding process now, and out of the proceeds of those bonds, a significant amount, and I don't have those numbers with me, but a significant amount will be contributed to the CDD, back to the CDD, or used by the CDD for enhancement of the existing and potentially additional amenity center facilities. I also understand that within that funding, there is going to be a reserve for this developer to use to improve or repair, excuse me, any damage or impact on the roads in connection with the development of the property. You know, I don't know how many times we've heard, I was told this would never be developed and I was going to live next to an open field, or I was going to live and unfortunately, we didn't do that. That's a realtor's problem or a developer's problem, not ours. And I appreciate that, because that would frustrate the heck out of me if I bought something having been told it would be this. But I remind you, we presently, without this change, are entitled to put 186 units, single-family units on this property. We have an access road that allows access through the Cross Creek community, and it was part of the county's enforcement of its provisions of the zoning code to have that road for access. And the road is not constructed, but it will be, and it will be constructed to county standards. The CDD will be responsible for maintaining this road as, or these, the roads within this development, just as it is in the Cross Creek development, and will be, the funds for that will be drawn from the residents who buy in this piece. I remind you too that the Greenway was established for the purposes of wildlife corridors. We're taking 7/10 of an acre out of that, and we're adding 2.5 acres to it. So that is actually should be considered an improvement to the Greenway as opposed to any detriment to it. I think that addressed, and concern about flooding, they're gonna have, and I think the staff's report confirms that they're gonna have to satisfy all of the conditions and requirements of the zoning code and development code for impacts to floodways, for, and assuring that the flooding, and the district will supposedly review their engineering to assure that there won't be flooding on additional property. I'd be happy to answer any other questions, but I'd ask you to focus on what's before you and not what we don't have before you today.
Frank, I don't think I've got it in my packet. I can't find it, but you had kind of understanding it's just kind of a what if of what the houses would look like. Can we put that back up? That one, yes. Okay. I have a question here, probably more for you. I know why there's a connection to, I guess that's Cross Creek. You know, we asked for that. Why? And Frank, this is something you probably need to take back to your client. There ought to be another road like going off to the right of that. That would be a potential connection to the next parcel that would be developed and would eventually go out to Russell Road. Why? I mean, I realize this is not a final plan, but wouldn't that be a requirement the same way that we required that other access?
I'll take a look at the code. Clearly, there was a reason why it was not, put in there. Certainly, it's the wetlands on the other three sides. Maybe there's wetland there.
I mean, I wouldn't expect you to build a road all the way to Russell Road right now, but it seems there ought to be a connection point for future going that direction.
So that these people can complain when we try to connect through.
Absolutely, absolutely, but it should be there. It should be a secondary connection at some point because that land, I'm not sure which way is north in this picture, but to the right, is the top north? Okay, to the east, eventually that property to the east between there and Russell Road is probably gonna be developed, and when it is, there should be interconnections in here. So with that said, which is really not germane to this discussion, but I wanted to get that out there.
I will share that with the client.
I wanted to make a couple of comments, and this is as much for people in the room as anyone else. I think Mr. Miller has explained about the CDD and all, but I think what's really important for everybody to understand is that, will you put the map up again, Dodie, with the other one with that one? That all that area that's in brown right now within that yellow square is already zoned and entitled to be built on. It's already there. It's master plan community. As long as the developer wants to go in there and build on it, they can build on it. So the question becomes, what's the best option? And I think what this item that's before us is simply to move a little bit of the land use around. It doesn't change the fact that a developer could go in there, connect to that stub out road and build houses. So I also sympathize with, probably more than a lot of people, about, I don't know how else to say it except the realtors are not being straight with you when they tell you there's never going to be anything built on that. That's already zoned for houses. If a realtor told you that, they were not being straight with you. It's been zoned that way for, when, 2020, when we did the Lake Asbury master plan, that was zoned for that. So it's been sitting there undeveloped, but it's never been prohibited from being developed. So with that in mind, if I could, Mr. Chair, I'm gonna move this. I
Okay,
think,
we're not
oh,
at that
we have
point
more?
yet. Anybody else have?
Just one comment. I just want to thank Mr. Puckhaber for clarifying that with regard to if this is approved or not, that housing has been approved in the past, so this has nothing to do with that piece. Thank you.
You know, you might ask, we have the planning people here, or the staff. At some point, they're gonna come forward with a design. That hasn't happened yet. And I think at this point, it would just go to design review. Is that correct? Yeah. So, got to keep your ear to the ground on this when it goes for design review. That's a public meeting as well, isn't it? Is that, yes? That you can come in at that point and make comments about what the developer is proposing and whether it's appropriate or not. But that's not really what we're being asked to decide on tonight. We're simply being asked to decide, are we willing to swap a little bit of property around? That's all this is at this point.
So with that being said, I'll second the motion that's on the floor if I could, Mr. Chair.
He does not have a motion on the floor.
He
yet.
didn't let me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've misunderstood.
Okay, I got a couple of questions. One of the residents indicated that that road through that neighborhood is a private road. Is that correct, Mr. Miller?
I don't believe so. It is if,
Well, if they're maintaining it and they're paying it out of
but
their own HOA
that's the nature of
funds.
a CDD. The CDD is, I believe, is the owner of the road and will be the owner of the roads built in this project.
Okay, will it be a combined CDD for this neighborhood as well as that one?
This has been annexed into the CDD. So one CDD is going to be the owner and the assessor for maintenance of all the roads within this project. And it may be that it's a private road, but then I don't think that's the case. I think it's just like the county has now said it's not going to maintain any roads in the county. So either the homeowners association is going to have to maintain them, or a CDD is going to have to maintain them. But on the plats, and I'm sorry, I haven't reviewed the Cross Creek plats. The CD grants to all the residents, to police, fire, and all those access through on their roads.
Well, that's understood. Was there any thoughts about an alternative route into this area?
I'm not aware of any in it, but I don't have any information to respond to that.
Okay, the homes on the, I don't know which direction, the north side that's going to be built in this area, the flat porch, according to the code, they can build up to the fence line, is that correct? The lot? Will there be any separation from the neighborhood that's established and the new neighborhood?
I think the building pad, these lots not only will be wider, but they're going to be deeper than would otherwise be. I think they're all going to be 130 feet deep, which would be, and the building pad will be within that. I can't recall, I'm sorry, what the building pad is intended to be, but it's usually significantly less than the size of the lot. So I'm sorry, I don't know what the distance would be from the back of the lot to the
You
home.
know, I've got a lot of questions that I don't have. It's not a matter of this commission to discuss, but private roads concern me because if there's no clear-cut definition of whether it is or is not, then that could be problems further down the road, so to speak, not to pick on a different word.
I can answer that question. It is not a private road. So
Okay.
the county at this point, if there's a subdivision built, either you have to, if the county receives it and it's dedicated to the county, then you have to set up an MSBU, and at that point, all the residents are charged. So when there is a CDD and you already have that structure for assessments, the county asks the CDD to retain them and assess them.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
May I?
Dozo.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'm going to move the staff report, and if I could, I'd like to make a comment after I get a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second.
Okay, I think, again, I think we understand this, but I want to emphasize this again so that all the residents here understand it. The only thing we, as this board, are being asked to look at tonight is, are we willing to swap those little tiny parcels, kind of rearrange them a little? This has nothing to do with the eventual development that's going to take place. They already have that entitlement. I think, I've made my comments about connectivity I would like to see, but actually that's all going to be through the design review, which is part of the county. It's part of the engineering department, and I would suggest that you ask, I don't know who can give them the information about when that might happen, but to find out when that meeting's going to be and come and talk at that meeting. With that, I'm done. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Thank you very much, Ralph. I was going to ask Frank, he did a great job explaining, we're not here deciding whether this thing is going forward or not. We're doing a very almost an admin type of a thing, moving Greenway. But Helena does a great job of attending these meetings, being involved. I know it's time consuming, but for the other residents, like I said, this was approved initially 20 years ago. So you don't stand a chance of knowing what happened 20 years ago. And I agree with you. If there's somebody, realtors are licensed. They have a board of ethics. If you have somebody told you that, that's a lie, is what that was. And they should be challenged on it. But my point was going to be, the county is as accessible as any government is. And they send out a weekly, I think almost weekly, Kelly, email about these DRC meetings, Development Review Committee meetings. You can just email Kelly, she'll add you to the list, and you get every single email when these meetings occur. And I get that it's a challenge, but you just have to stay informed. But anyway, I just mainly wanted you to know that you have access to a weekly email that says exactly what's happening around here. So that's it.
And for those in attendance tonight, here's the bottom line. This is not a zoning issue. It's not a planning issue. The planning's already been done. It was done years ago. This is just an administrative type thing of changing 2 3/4 acres of some land to one thing to another. We could deny that, but that doesn't remove the rights of the property owner to build houses on it. That does nothing to do that. So it's already there, and the houses they're going to come. So we just hope that whoever's Mr. Miller's representing does what they possibly can do to protect your residential area, your roads, and your access, as well as your privacy that you have. With that, we have a motion and a second. No further discussion. I'll call for a vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is public hearing to consider PUD 26006. Ms. Carson.
No, this is the mall.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This item is PUD 266. The public hearing for this item will be before the Board of County Commissioners on August 25th. The property owner is Corta FTU, Orange Park LLC, and the agents, sorry for the formatting on that. We have agents from Driver Hawthorne and Deepenow, as well as Kimley Horn. Mr. Dylan Reingold is here, as well as Mark Shelton. The location of the property is 1910 Wells Road, and this is located within the Gateway Planning District, which is in Commissioner Renninger's District 3. And the request is to rezone approximately 18 acres from BSC, Shopping Center District, to Planned Commercial District, PCD. The map on the left is the location map, which shows that the parcel is located east of Blanding and south of Wells Road. The aerial on the right gives you a little better view of the property. It's actually at the corner of Orange Park Northway, Blanding, and south of Wells Road, but doesn't actually touch Wells Road. And this parcel is the Sears property, which includes the portion of the Sears building that's attached to the mall, as well as the out parcel, which used to be the auto center, which is up on the hill. And this is one single parcel, one single ownership. The map on the left is our notification map. We notified everyone in the green area, which is the 350-foot buffer. That's the list of the property owners that were contacted, and some photos of the signs that were posted. The map on the left is the existing zoning. It is currently the BSC, which is the green, and the gray across the street is commercial zoning as well. And on the right is the proposed zoning would be to go to the PCD, which is the yellow indicated there. And with a PCD, they have to have a binding site plan as well as a written narrative. And so the parcel is separate ownership from the balance of the mall. There's actually several owners of the mall at this point. The PCD offers a unified plan, which includes landscaping and signage under that single ownership. The list of uses are similar to the previous BSC, but include some updated uses that were not contemplated back in the time that was done years ago. So it also includes medical offices, urgent care, food trucks, not for overnight use, and accessory uses such as tasting rooms for food and beverage stores. There are special regulations that apply to large lounges. This is what's called the special regulations for Wells Road, Section 3-47, and that applies to a corridor extending along Wells Road and across the intersection of Wells and Blanding. This parcel does extend into it and would be subject to it, as it is a single ownership at this time, because a portion falls within that area. The PCD is asking for 2 waivers. One is a waiver from the distance requirements in Section 3-4 for a business selling alcohol for off-premise consumption, having an accessory use of a tasting room, and that was their purpose for asking that. The additional waiver that they're asking for is from the buffering requirements for dumpsters and loading docks. The buffering would inhibit the actual service of the dumpsters, as well as the loading docks, access to the loading docks. Their site plan on the left, at the northern part, the top side of this plan, you'll see where the existing mall is. So they're going to demolish the existing Sears, and they will be building separate buildings that will not be attached to the existing mall. You will have a loading area that's in between the two. They are proposing several different uses, as well as some out parcels that would be accessed by the internal ring road that goes around the mall. And they are proposing 2 stormwater ponds. Apologize, it's actually PUD 26-6. Staff finds that the criteria for the rezoning have generally been met and generally recommends approval of this PUD, but further recommends that the lighting standards similar to those in the Brandonfield Master Plan be applied to the out parcels along 21 Blanding. There is no active CAC in the Gateway Planning District, so there are no comments to provide there.
Questions of staff?
This isn't necessarily germane, I'll use Commissioner Pokeber's word, to what planning and zoning does, but I am very interested in this. And I'm curious how they're gonna separate the building from Sears to the existing mall if they're different owners. And that is gonna have to be demoed, and then the existing building stays right on the property line for the mall?
Yeah.
So we have the applicant here to explain
And
more, but-
I'll defer, I'm
Yes.
prepping him by asking you, but
Right.
I'm expecting that he'll come up and give us the
So
answer.
the PCD has all the setback standards and everything that's in there, and so maybe I'm not quite understanding.
Well,
what
I'm
you're-
curious, at the existing mall,
Correct.
after that wing is, Sears wing is removed, is there a setback for the existing mall that they're gonna have to meet now? Or is they're just gonna wall in where the entrance from Sears into the mall was, and it's just a flat wall right there? Right on the property line?
That is something that would have to be addressed by the applicant.
Okay, all right.
How they're
It's
planning to
it's
do
an
that.
intriguing project. I'm curious to see what he's gonna say.
Can you put the,
Thank you, Beth.
the map
Site
back
plan.
up? Yeah, for a second. That's a good question, Mr. Boré. But if you go back, Beth, to the ones before this, like the zoning maps, go back. I think there was
Want
one
the
in
aerial?
here. Yeah, I think, seeing it right there, see how that yellow line is? It's very weird, but I did a little research on this outside of here, just apparently Sears, back when this mall was built, Sears was a big deal. You know, they had a lot of power. And this same situation exists at a number of malls that Sears was in, where they've closed. This is not a division of property that this applicant is asking for. This is how the mall was built originally. So it must be grandfathered in at a minimum that they can be right on that property line. Sears always owned the property under their building and their parking lot.
Yeah, and I would expect that the mall wouldn't be required to demo more of the mall in order
No.
to create the setback. I
wouldn't.
wanna hear, how that is gonna transpire when the applicant comes up. But I mean, to your point, I completely agree. That's why I find this
I
an
have a
intriguing project.
question about it to the applicant though, too. So. I have more than one question.
I have questions of the applicant as well, considering elevations on that, how you're gonna deal with that. But one question of staff, if you're recommending approvals, you're also recommending approval of the two waivers they're asking for?
That's what I'm saying generally. I did not feel that that was staff's role to make that decision necessarily. With the tasting room, that is falling under alcohol license, but it is not selling. It is merely samples for the product, but it is not selling. So it should be within the state licensing, so.
All right. The applicant, please.
And the applicant has a PowerPoint presentation as well.
Good evening, Mark Shelton, Kimley Horn Associates, 12740 Grand Bay Parkway West, Suite 2350, Jacksonville, Florida, 32258. With me today is Corey Presnick with Corda FTU Orange Park and Dylan Reigold with Driver McAfee Law Firm. I do want to say thank you, first of all, for your time tonight. Happy to answer your questions. This is a great redevelopment project. I'm excited to be here. It's like a planner's dream. I also want to say thank you to staff, from Beth to Dodie, Sharice, and others. I really appreciate their effort in helping us get this project to where we are right now. Let's see. You're gonna be the remote? Okay, thanks, Beth. All right, so there's our redevelopment team as opposed to a development team. Next slide. Okay. So this is the reuse of the existing old Sears parcel, which is a portion of the Orange Park Mall, as you know. This site is 18 acres and has frontage along Blanding Boulevard and Orange Park Northway. We will be revising the design of the site and access, adding new national retailers, adding 5 out parcels where there used to be a sea of parking, and more. To get to this point, we had to work with planning staff, Public Works, FDOT, Jim Knight, FDOT, Water Management District, Clay County Utility Authority, and more. It's definitely been a team effort. So next slide. And as Beth already stated, this would actually be PCD and not PUD. Next slide. These next slides show the existing conditions out here. This is an aerial view of what it looks like right now. And the next slide after that is going to show the street view of what it looks like right now, with a little bit of dilapidated landscaping, faded striping, and a sea of asphalt. Next slide. So slide 7 here shows our new site plan with our new building design for our 5 national retail anchors. And as Beth mentioned, we are currently removing the 2 existing buildings on the site and preparing a location for the 2 ponds. Next slide. On this slide, you'll see how the access to this parcel has to change because of the intersection improvements by FDOT. What used to be a full access on Blanding, that's the bottom red circle, is now going to be turned into a right in, right out because of FDOT's median that they're putting in. Their choice, not ours, but it's for safety. The top right circle is a right in that we asked Jim Knight at FDOT to build for us, which he agreed to. The traffic that comes eastbound is significant enough where we don't want to have to make them go another half mile or so to take the new turn and come all the way back. So he allowed us to, he listened to us and designed and put in that right in right there. So next slide. So here's a colorized version of the site plan, which more clearly shows the anchor, the out parcels, the new pond, and landscaping locations. Please note the locations of the loading and unloading dock that Beth mentioned at the top of this, right above the retail and to the left of the grocer. And I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, next slide. So to summarize the revised site design and need for PCD, we're preserving the ring road to have a continual feel the same way it is right now, being part of the mall. We're adding landscaping, a lot more landscaping that's there right now, not 100% of what the code requires, but significantly more to bring this to a more aesthetic feel. We're creating a unified sign plan. A USP is new to the code. Beth and Dodie spent a lot of time on it. It's not required. We're offering it up because we found this to be more useful. Instead of keep coming to Beth and Dodie asking questions, we actually make it part of the PCD. There's going to be a great reduction in impervious surface area and impervious surface ratio. This is mainly to more landscaping and more ponds. Next one. Because of that, there's less stormwater running off to Blanding, which Water Management was happy to hear about, as well as FDOT. And the last one, and this is true of many older malls, there's a sea of parking, a sea of asphalt. And by creating the out parcels on the outside of the ring road and putting more landscaping and ponds on the inside, you're breaking up that sea of parking, making it more user-friendly. We are also adding such uses to this zoning district because right now BSC, Business Shopping Center, doesn't allow fuel pumps. Because we have Parker's Kitchen coming in, we're adding fuel pumps. It's amazing because the same place you used to be able to repair a car, take it apart, put it back together, but you can't fill it up with fuel. We had to add that use in there. Also drive-throughs, you're allowed to have drive-in, drive-up, but not drive-through. So we allow that use. Medical and dental office and clinics, we're not part of BSC, we add that use. And we remove such uses as medical marijuana and the ability to develop residential. Along with this, as Beth mentioned, we had a few waivers that we have to ask you all for because we're kind of a square peg, round hole kind of thing. We're trying to bring a new development into an old zoning district called BSC, and that's what we based all of our designs on as much as possible. Okay, next. So this is our unified sign plan, showing locations and maximum number of signs. Our written description for this USP will be adopted as part of the PCD. Right here, you're just seeing the map. There's a written description that goes with it. And next one. This is a conceptual illustration showing our proposed master plan identity sign. You can see the architectural style that's going to be consistent throughout this area, and it'll be compatible with all the rest of the signs within this parcel. Okay. So finally, in order to accommodate these national retailers, we needed to request a few waivers to address the tasting room, as Beth pointed out. The parking landscape islands, right now you have a 100-foot separation, which means every 100 feet you need a new landscape island. To make up for the parking and to comply with all the parking requirements of calculations, a lot of that asphalt went away because of the ponds. So we're asking for an extension of the requirements of those landscape islands to be more than 100 feet. And finally, the perimeter landscaping, this is adjacent to those property lines that are existing. One is we don't want perimeter landscaping between the existing mall and our new building. It doesn't make sense. They're going to be right next to each other, about 20 feet apart. And the other is adjacent to the Orange Park Northway. There's a 45-degree slope. So we're going to keep that existing landscaping the way it is. Half of it's in the right-of-way, half of it's our property. And the other portions of the ring road along the north property line, we don't want to divide this property. We still want to make it look uniform. We'll abide by the VUA, vehicular use area landscaping, but not the perimeter, because we're not trying to separate ourselves from the rest of the mall. So I know there's a lot in there, and I'm happy to stand by with any questions, and my team will stand by as well.
Who wants to be first?
I have a very short question. Can you talk about the tasting, the alcohol waiver?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So as part of the wine retail store, that is our major anchor, they're on the right side of our 5 major buildings. They would like a tasting room. As Beth mentioned, this is not for people to come in and buy or sit down and buy alcohol and drink it right there. This is a tasting. The license they have to get to do that through Alcohol, Beverage, and Tobacco at the state is a 4 COP license. 4 meaning liquor, beer, and wine. COP meaning consumption on premises. Even though it's that much, it's not a sit-down bar, they still have to get that license. Therefore, it's not in compliance with the existing land development code because Clay County's code doesn't contemplate that thing, which really didn't exist 30 years ago.
Thank you.
Can you just expand on that real quick? Because I was going to ask that definition. The other one is SRX license?
Yes, sir.
What's the difference?
So an SRX license is when you have 51% of your profits coming from food. So this is your Ruby Tuesdays, your Chili's. They have most of their income coming from food. 51% have to have 2,500 seats. No, I'm sorry, 150 seats, 2,500 square feet. That qualifies them in the state as a bona fide, and that's the word bona fide.
Yeah, I'm
restaurant.
familiar with both of these. I just wasn't sure what those names were.
Yes.
So, thank you. Because there's another license too, the one that you get through the lottery with the state. It's the one a lot of stay-in-the-lawn bars use.
That's the 4 COP.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a series of questions, but I want to make sure there's no public comment first. You had a question?
Commissioner Bridgman?
Yes, I wanted to understand the plans for the out parcels. Did I understand correctly that those would be medical services and office buildings and things of that nature, not retail, or did you say?
They could be. They could be retail, they could be restaurant, they could be dental clinic. It'll be consistent with what you see right now on Blanding in Wells Road. It'll fall in line, but I can't say what we have definite right now because we're still in negotiations with them. But it's not just going to be that. We'll still have our list.
You might have touched on it a bit. You know, the old auto parts center's on top of the hill. Are you going to maintain that hill and then the art parcel's going to be on top of it? Is that how it works?
Yes, sir.
We're
And then
not,
slope down to the others?
yes, sir, we're not going to reduce that and not going to bring that hill down. We're going to still build on it. Of course, we've got to make sure that it flows correctly as opposed to when it was developed in the, I think it's 70s. And so we're not going to be reducing that slope. And that's why I was saying the south property line has that 45-degree angle hill that goes up to Orange Park Northway. And that's the beginning of the hill. But no, we're not taking that hill down.
Okay. And I got a question of legal, if I may. The issue concerning a waiver on the alcohol and a waiver on the dumpsters, and that's, are we empowered to grant that, or is that a recommended be granted, or is that something that has to be done under a separate rule? But the board has the power to do this one-off type thing?
As part of the PUD, or whatever, the PCD.
Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't tread on somebody else's toes. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, Mr. Shelton. It's good to see you. Could you do me a favor and just address the decimation of Sears? I used to buy my Craftsman tools there, by the way, so, yeah, some of us have been around for a while, but can you just talk us through that process? I'm very interested.
Yes, sir. I believe Commissioner Puckhaver put it correctly when as soon as Sears put that property line and then right after that separates their building from the mall, but yet they're still connected, it kind of threw their mall and their building into what's called legal non-conforming status because you're supposed to have a 20-foot setback. And I warn my developers all the time, whenever you put arbitrary property lines, you're creating setback requirements and perimeter landscaping you watch out for. So the mall portion of this would be considered legal non-conforming because the building should be set back. I think it is 20 feet in BSC. And ours will be set back 20 feet, thereby conforming it. And we use that separation as an area that we can use for back-of-house delivery.
Okay, so Sears is non-conform, or the rest of the mall is non-conforming, not your concern?
Correct.
Basically?
Correct.
Beth, can you?
Not necessarily
Okay, good.
non-conforming. So it kind of depends on where you determine your side to be. So the BSC has language in there that says that where the adjoining lot is zoned for business, the building may be placed up to the side lot line, providing the building is constructed in accordance with the regulations of the building code. So, obviously you have buildings that are built next to each other when you have a mall combined, so
it could be conforming.
so the existing would just be up to the property line, as long as we're all built to the building code for fire and everything, that should be satisfactory.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you for that clarification. The other question I had, and I was a little bit confused by the site plan, so I'm just gonna ask the question. I'm assuming that there's still interconnectivity between your parking lot and the adjacent parking lots existing in the mall?
Yes, sir. We're going to maintain that ring road, and we're going to still have interconnectivity. Even the interconnectivity between the out parcels will be encouraged and required.
Okay, thank you.
And all of this activity, since there is all accessible within the confines, in other words, there's no curb cuts or anything like that along Blanding?
Oh, that's correct. No extra curb cuts along Blanding. We're using the existing access through Orange Park Northway, the right in, right out, and left in, just past that Sears going north, and then what used to be the full, like I mentioned, where the major sign is right now to north on Blanding, that's going to be right in, right out. No new curb cuts.
I think the question, I think Mike was asking, because I had this same question, but since he opened it, at the top of that drawing, we've got the ring road, which you're clearly going to reroute, right? But as long as that stays, it's still going to be the same width. It's still just going to be that ring.
Yes, sir.
Top right corner, that looks like that's some kind of a landscape island or something in there. Am I going to be able to move from this parking lot to the other part of the mall parking lot without going out on that ring road?
Yes, sir. You'll have that interconnectivity. If you go straight up to the very top right, that might be a mistake on our part. It looks like it's closed as landscaping, but that will be open and continuous.
Okay. That same thing on the left over here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the other question about the connectivity. First of all, everything I say, take this with a grain of salt. I think this needs, we've been wanting this redeveloped for so long. It's horrible. It looks like a dead mall when you're on Blanding Boulevard, but if you go around the corner, there's a ton of people there. So other than the parking lot, is there any pedestrian connectivity that's gonna make it easy for me if I'm there to walk around to the mall?
Yes, sir. Part of our requirements, we already have our plans in for civil review, is ADA requirements. We have to reestablish, if they're not already established, ADA sidewalks with grading. JTA wants to relocate the bus stop, and we're gonna have that connectivity through sidewalks and striping within the parking lot.
That was another question I had about the bus that stops there, what we were gonna do about that. So they're gonna just find another spot for the bus?
Yes, sir, that's, JTA would like to locate that on site as opposed to on Orange Park Northway, and we're still negotiating with them where that could be. That would be consistent with our ADA routes and our parking.
Okay, and kind of a general question, because I do have some issues with your site plan I want to get to. But overall, good answers. Give me as brief a statement as you can. I know you mentioned why this needs to be a PCD other than just going under shopping center. Because the way I'm reading this and looking at it, honestly, it looks like what you're doing is trying to get a whole lot of signs in there that I don't think we need, and there's a couple of them for sure. We have been trying for years and years and years to get somebody to clean up Blanding Boulevard. It's horrible. We know it's horrible. It's hard to get them. You could be the germination of the thing that starts to clean that up if it's done correctly. You know, kind of embarrass some of the other property owners into doing something a little better. So just give me a quick synopsis on why this is better than just going shopping center.
Well, yes, sir. Let me first address the signage. We based our USP, our sign plan, on the existing sign code when it came to locations, when it came to heights, style. So we mimic that, and then we try to show it into where we think these locations will be. So that was our basis for most PUDs and PCDs that we have, is based on existing code. This is also not exactly, they're not going to maximize this. This is their options. They don't have to make every one of these signs. They could pare that down more if they wanted to, but we have to give, as retailers, we have to give them the option of advertising space along Blanding. We also want to make sure that we don't conflict with the off-site restriction, because our 5 major retailers are not along Blanding. We have to make sure that their signage can still be visible and not be in conflict with the no off-site requirement, no off-site signage requirement.
Are you familiar with how they do a lot of this signage over on Fleming Island in Eagles Harbor area?
No, sir, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, because those signs, I think, meet all the criteria and are not as monstrous as these that you're proposing. That's a big concern that I have, especially the master plan identity signs. 40 feet, 40 feet. It's taller than some of the billboards. They accomplish the same thing that you're speaking about over on Fleming Island, using much smaller monument signs. Again, you're trying to clean up Blanding, and just encouraging giant signs on Blanding is going the wrong direction.
Yes, sir.
So I have some real concern about that one in particular, but in general, I think you guys ought to take a drive over to County Road 220, US 17 in Eagle Harbor area. Take a look at what they've done with their signage. It's far less obtrusive than some of the stuff you're proposing, yet accomplishes, I think, everything you're trying to do. So the signage is kind of an issue with me, and I won't bore. The other one I did want to ask about specifically was the flag poles, 80-foot flag poles. That's like 7 or 8 story building. I know we have some in the county. I don't know that they're a good idea. But in here, it did say that each parcel's allowed a flagpole. And keep in mind that we're talking kind of one parcel right now, but in your written description, you're going to break this up into a lot of other lots/parcels. So each one of these businesses can have an 80-foot flagpole. I could kind of see one for the whole project. And then, you know, if you got more than half an acre, you can have 2 flagpoles. We got a lot of, and then you never specify what kind of flags are going to be on here. I mean, are they going to be company flags or advertising flags or what have you? I know it refers another part of the code, but realistically, do you really need about 15 flagpoles 80 feet high on this property? I don't think so. I think one, and I don't know, it needs to be 80 feet, but the only flags that ought to be on it are the U.S. flag and the state of Florida flag. Shouldn't be anything else on that flagpole. So I have an issue with that. Let me see if I just had a few other comments.
If I may address that?
Yes,
Commissioner?
please.
We honestly have no intention to put a bunch of flagpoles. We have no intention to building as high as we could possibly get. We literally took the code and mimicked it. So purely that was just not on purpose, but we'd be happy to look at that. In fact, I'll guarantee you we can reduce that height, and I guarantee you we can reduce the amount of flagpoles, and we can take that before BCC with a revised USP.
Yeah, and I know you base this on our code. The problem is our code isn't that great, which the idea of a PCD is you're supposed to have a product that's better than what you can do under the code. That's the issue. Is this better than what's under the code? And when you say, well, the code lets you do that somewhere else, it doesn't matter. This is a PCD. This is supposed to be better than what we could do elsewhere, which I think brings me to my last comment, because I like to talk and these guys get tired of listening to me. But the lighting. And you're not the only one. I say everybody that comes in here. Down lighting, keeping from going off premise. Again, it's something Blanding needs. Brandon Field is kind of our standard that we use. This needs to say lighting will comply with Brandon Field, not with the county, because I had a little slideshow in here a few months ago that I showed what we can do under our code, and it's crazy. So we need to restrict the lighting too. So those are kind of my general first. And again, let me say, I love the fact you're doing this. I think this is so badly needed. I think it will clean up that stretch of Blanding. I think the mall will benefit from it. You guys have a pretty good product here. I just don't like some of the signage, and I definitely don't like the lighting.
If I may address the lighting real quickly. Yes, sir, I agree with what you're saying. In fact, Beth made me aware that there's no lighting standards in the land development code. And she and I discussed this, and we agreed that along the Blanding Boulevard, which is unlike anywhere else on Blanding Boulevard, we'll agree to that BF overlay restrictions. I went so far as to check with Parker's Kitchen, and they agreed with it as well. So that's why I asked her to change her condition to say along all out parcels adjacent to Blanding Boulevard, we will comply. But we want the lighting to be consistent on the eastern portion, closer to the actual mall itself, for that lighting to be all consistent.
Consistent in what way?
With their existing?
No. Down lighting. That's the problem. We got to get down lighting, and we got to stop that spread of lighting. So I'm sorry, but I would disagree with that.
Yes, sir.
The whole site needs, the long-term goal, because we're kind of planners or planning advisors, is eventually, we want the whole county to look like Brannon Field as far as lighting goes. And if we don't do it now, it just postpones when we can finally get to that. So, yes, the lighting and the flagpoles and the height of some of these signs is a little concerning. Like I said, take a look over what they did in Eagle Harbor. I think Pete lives in that area. He can tell you, you can find anything you want. They're not big flashy signs. They're not big tall signs. It's all there. So enough said. I'm going to be quiet and let these guys do their thing.
I got one last comment. I like this. I'm glad somebody's finally taking the action to clean up that blight. I do have one question. It was mentioned, but I didn't hear an answer, and that was when you raised the old Sears store, the old Sears store had access to the mall. Will there be an access available, or is it just going to be a blank wall after you take the Sears portion off and just brick it up? Or will there be any kind of an access to the inner mall from that one side?
Yes, sir. I'll ask my client Corey to come up to speak about that. I haven't been part of the actual construction with the mall portion of it. I've just been writing code and making plans. So, Corey, if you want to speak to that.
Sure.
Name and address.
Good evening, Corey Presnick, Neptune Beach, 1112 First Street, Neptune Beach, 32266. Thanks for all your time. Excited to be here. Yes, specific to this, it has been I'm not an engineer or really even in construction necessarily, but it's been quite the case study as well for me. The wall there, the portal will be closed. So right now there's a portal. As you see, we're 20 feet off of, so there's going to be no connectivity from a pedestrian perspective. It's at that child's play area there. So the portal will be closed, and that's actually a structural wall currently. Technically, it's a Sears wall, our wall. So we're going to be leaving that in place so that the mall doesn't have to do all kinds of crazy bracing and things like that. So we're actually going to be bracing it on our side of the wall just for expedience and being good neighbors. So we're going through that actually right now. That's why you haven't seen the building. And we have demo permits, and we're working on that right now inside the building, getting that prepared so that we can take the building down safely at that point. So there will not be connectivity. And so, yeah, we want to keep, the customer wants to feel like they can move freely with the mall, because the mall is in great shape, as you mentioned. We think this is going to really accelerate more at the mall as well. I mean, it's going to bring new life and everything, and so we're embracing that and trying to incorporate into the mall so that their customers can be our customers and vice versa. And so, but you know, from a physicality standpoint, we need the service back there as well anyway. So I want to mention, we're not going to be putting flagpoles up. So, yeah, we'll address that in terms of that. The signage, we'll definitely look at calming that down a little bit. And we're not going to be overbuilding that, so we'll address that. I think that was the main things. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I just have one other question, if I could, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
I just have one other question, and that dealt, and again, not necessarily with planning and zoning, but I'm curious, so I'm gonna ask the question. Parking lot requirements or parking space requirements, obviously you're gonna meet yours for your development, but what does that do to the parking requirements for the mall? Are they gonna be short now, or are they still in good shape?
No, sir, I didn't go around and, first of all, it's a great question. I didn't count every space for space, but I can tell you from a planner's point of view, there's an abundance of parking, and they're over probably the requirements today. Okay. I can say that with a lot of confidence. Okay. And we'll be meeting ours on site, out parcels, as well as our major retailers. We made sure we're gonna meet that minimum qualifications, specifications for the existing code.
All right, thank you.
And may I did see in your written statement, you're planning on getting to that through shared use parking, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is also something that's in the code. Beth, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that in Brandfield overlay, you're allowed that shared parking, but otherwise you're not. So that's something we add to the code.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, then I'm going to move to, thank you very much. I'm going to open a public hearing. Does anybody wish to speak on this agenda item? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period and bring it back for motion discussion.
I'll move approval of the PUD 26-0006.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm going to vote no on this, but not because I don't like the project. You guys heard, and the minutes will reflect some of the concerns I had with it. And if those get addressed before it gets to the BCC, great. But that's why I'm going to vote no. I want to go on record about that.
Any further discussion? One legal question. I hate to keep coming back to this, but I want to make sure we got everything in one bag. Because the product that planning department generates did not address the two waivers. Do we need a separate motion on that, or we just assume that it's okay?
So I guess I'm not clear. So your, your staff's approval did not include the two waivers?
I made it a general approval, generally approve it, except for would recommend the lighting. So in theory, I'm recommending approval on the alcohol, but that's really, the separation distance is something that the board would want to make that final decision on. Let me put it this way, I don't necessarily oppose that, but I think that's something that the Board of County Commissioners would be the ultimate say on that.
And your addition was the lighting requirements?
My addition was the lighting for
Which you didn't get in the motion.
Well, no, but when I made the motion to approve staff's report, which is the approval of PUD 2600, so I assumed that those were included in that, and we didn't have to carve those out separate. I assume that that's all in it.
It's in it, yes,
Yeah.
as far as the lighting.
Okay. All right.
Question.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, thank you all very much. I know we got kind of deep in the weeds on that, but it was very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Item number 5, public hearing, consider ZON 260012. We have a request for a continuance on that, but I will go through the motions if anybody wishes to speak about it. And we won't have a presentation from the planning department, so I'll open the public hearing. Anybody want to talk about the last agenda item? Seeing none, so we have a request to continue this till the
September
next
1.
meeting or
September
soon
1st.
thereafter.
September
Move to
1
continue.
would be the-
Or soon thereafter, as it can be heard.
Is there a motion in a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, I'll open the last public hearing. Does anybody wish to say, no, you don't get to, you've said enough tonight.
Hello, Helena Cormier. My address is on file. I just want to say thank you again for all of the attention to detail and reading that you go through, because I feel that same struggle sometimes, but it's a good catch. Who would have wanted, umpteen flagpoles in that area if somebody hadn't have read that? So thank you for catching some of those things. When it comes to the community with Cross Creek and the stuff that happened on that one, yes, the land was allowed to have the zoning that it had already, but the difficulty for them to have built that subdivision, if it would have been a standalone subdivision, was the cost of the road to connect to Russell Road. And so by them being able to get it annexed into that community, it allowed that developer to say, okay, I'll go ahead and close on that property and move that through. I personally don't think that it's fair when the developer-appointed board members still control the majority and they're able to push those through, and they're going to do it whether the other two board members support it or not. But if the attorney and everybody doesn't enlighten the board that's sitting there, the people don't understand, and they don't always get all the details that are in the best interest of the residents. That developer definitely would not have paid the same money for that land had it not been annexed. I don't know what's best on that one, but the people in the community, when they bought in that community, they did expect it to be a certain size and a certain amount of homes in that community. And as it keeps getting annexed and annexed and annexed, then all of a sudden the community that they bought into is different, and they really don't get to say, okay, I like this. They're stuck there, and it's difficult. So again, as the residents hear this out there in our community, it is imperative that they take the time to go to the CDD meetings, that they serve public office and hold one of those seats, because it is a local government type. We're under the Sunshine Law, and the decisions that we make do affect that community. And even if they would have just voiced out an objection when it came before the county commissioners, they could have seen that, hey, this wasn't a unanimous vote or something. But again, when you have an attorney that steers a direction or influences in a way that you think it sounds great, you don't always know what you don't know. And that's what I've learned in my community serving in Rolling Hills. And I've tried to encourage some of the other CDD board members. And with Rolling Hills, our community is a lot older. So the roads in our community are not owned by the CDD. And as a realtor, that is something that is very important that I explain to a person buying, because some of these newer CDDs, the roads in there belong to the CDD. And if they don't have those reserves, they will be in a world of trouble later on down the road. So I hope that the reserves get put in there from the developer. And all we can do is keep holding people accountable and reading documents. So thank you so much.
One point you might consider, especially in your future, if you have a item coming before your committee, if you think it might be somewhat contentious, that you reach out to the HOA or somebody and tell somebody that maybe you ought to attend this meeting because it has some impact on your residential area. I've done that in the past, and it changes the dynamics, and it gives an opportunity for the residents to have their say, but it also gives the developer an opportunity to interact with the residents so that they feel more comfortable with what's getting ready to happen. It's just all of a sudden, boom, here it is.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. With all due respect, the CAC meetings and the agendas for those aren't advertised to the public. And it's been told to me kind of that they would really rather them come to the planning and zoning meeting where it's actually recorded, because our CACs aren't recorded. We do take notes and we take minutes, but they want the residents to come to y'all's meeting. But I would love for CAC meetings to be recorded so that community members would have that extra invite. So that's just my perspective. Thank you.
I'm not going to get on the weeds on that, but I don't necessarily agree with that philosophy. Okay, any new business?
Turn your mic back on.
Yep, all right, I'll turn it back on. Any new business? None? Meeting's adjourned.
Hey, Kelly, before you leave, I want to ask you something.